One of the things that I absolutely love about Denver and living in Colorado is the coffee culture. You will often find me working from one of the many coffee shops around town. Any excuse to check out a coffee shop that's new to me, I'm going to take it. One of the crazy things that I think about is how much Denver has changed. And one of those changes is that it's definitely a coffee destination. There are five key aspects to becoming a serious coffee town. This is my own personal list, by the way. Your list might be different. Coffee drinkers who appreciate well brewed cups of joe, shops that roast their own beans whenever possible or source them from some other shops that roast their own beans, have a coffee knowledgeable team without being condescending. That's the key part, a welcoming space and good food whenever possible. And a bonus would be a patio for those sunny days over 35 degrees when you just want to sit outside and enjoy the fresh air, which you're doing a lot more of because of COVID. Anywho, happily, almost all of the shops mentioned in this episode do have patios. When I first purchased my home, I was so excited about it. I also discovered that there were so many aspects to home ownership that I didn't know about. How often I would have to do home maintenance, how tiring yard work would be, and the moments when I thought that maybe I should have purchased a property outside of an HOA. There was another home ownership experience that I was fascinated by, which was the refinance process. As a first time homeowner, I didn't completely understand the process and why it was a useful financial tool that so many homeowners embraced. Fortunately, there is a resource to help educate homeowners going through the refinance process. Refinly is a lender comparison tool that helps homeowners find lenders to help them refinance their mortgage. Refinly helps homeowners see and compare different lenders and estimated fees and rates before saying yes to their future home loan. What I really love about Refily's comparison tool is the following: transparency, ease of use, and accessibility. If you're looking to refinance your home loan, Refily is the tool I recommend to help you with the lender comparison process, and I am proud to partner with Refily to share the comparison tool. Here are my top 10 coffee shops in Denver. And they're in no particular order, by the way. These are just my top 10. The first is Steam Coffee Shop. It actually has two locations, one in Platt Park and the newest location in the Highlands. What stands out besides the fantastic coffee quality and service is the ambiance and atmosphere, which basically is the same thing, of both locations. The Platt Park location has a really lovely patio that is always filled with patrons all year long. And the Highlands location is this huge, airy space located within an old firehouse. It also has a wonderful patio as well, but there's nothing like going through the red doors into the Highlands location. And it's just airy and just so beautiful. I also want to point out that the Highlands location has a fresh juice bar. Both locations make fresh juice. The Highlands one has three different types of juice that they typically are squeezing made to order. So, definitely, that is one of my favorite shops. You got to try it out. The next is Huckleberry Roasters. Honestly, phenomenal coffee. But weirdly enough, I've only been to the Dairy Block location. So I plan on going to what I think is the original standalone location in the next couple of weeks. But everything about Huckleberry Roasters, I love. Every time I get one of their cups of coffee, I'm just like, hot damn, this thing is good. So it had to be on the list. Unravel Coffee. I really love this coffee shop, which has now become a small chain, a little micro coffee chain located in Colorado. What's interesting about this Colorado local coffee shop is that the original is located in what feels like a somewhat random and slightly underwhelming strip mall on the east side of town. I'm going to keep it 100. Like, it's just weird to me that this incredible shop is the original is located in this weird area for me. But Unravel Coffee also has locations in Breckenridge, Vale, and Winter Park, which is where I'm recording this episode right now. And Unravel has actually partnered with Gravity House. And if you're familiar with Gravity House, it's basically an outdoors enthusiast community that also has facilities such as restaurants and hotels. I'm going to do a review about that, but just so you know, this I think is a partnership. It's a match made in heaven. The coffee is phenomenal. And I also love that they have a sustainability approach and a glass jar program. So you typically will receive a glass jar that is recyclable, that they reuse. And I love that. And then you return the jars, you get some cash back depending on how many you turn back. In I actually have several because I often go to the Breckenridge location because I go to Breckenridge so much. So, anywho, love Unravel Coffee. Middle State Coffee. This one had to make the list, even though I don't go to their shop often enough. But it is actually one of my favorite coffee brands. I've had the coffee all throughout the city in other locations. I think they source quite a few other coffee shops or provide beans that are brewed quite pretty often for other shops. And one of my favorite things to do is to have freshly made waffles. And I don't know if they're still doing this, but I hope they are. But before COVID, when I would stop in, I'd get a lovely waffle. This is the Santa Fe location where they roast all the beans. I'd listen to some great hip hop music because the team would be like every time I've gone over there, they're playing hip hop. It's just a good vibe, good waffles, phenomenal coffee. Love Middle State. Sweet Bloom Coffee Shop. So, similar to a few of these other coffee brands and shops that I've mentioned, Sweet Bloom is also a brand or a bean that many of you, if you live in Denver or in the state of Colorado, you've probably tried it before. You're probably really familiar with the quality of the coffee, but then there's also the physical locations. I've never been to the other two locations that they have. I think they have three, but I'm going to mention the one that I have been to, which is basically magical. And that is the third location that opened up in the Westminster. That it opened up in Westminster near JC Penney, I want to say. I feel like it's a JC Penney. I'm convinced it's JC Penney's. Anyway, I saw pictures of this place, of this coffee shop, and I was like, I gotta go. And it is beautiful. Beautiful. It's a beautiful shop. If you're in that area, you just have to go and check it out. It's beautiful. I'm going to definitely do another couple of different iterations of coffee shop lists, but this Sweet Bloom Westminster location, you're going to hear about that pretty often in these other lists. Stylus and Crate. Recently, I've fallen back in love with vinyl records. So when I heard about Stylus and Crate, which is a coffee shop out of Wheat Ridge, I had to go for a visit. And I decided to take my mom along, and we both absolutely loved it. The coffee was scrumptious, the waffles were divine, and we got to enjoy that while listening to great music being played on the record player. It's situated in this beautiful piece of furniture, old school, old style record player. It's awesome. And yes, you can play your favorite records while in the shop. You might have to wait a minute for someone else's record to play, finish playing, or you can pick up some new vinyl from the really, really outstanding collection of records and music genres that they offer at Stylus and Crate. So I absolutely recommend driving over there, checking it out. And I also do want to say that the customer service was superb. The team is wonderful. Blue Sparrow Coffee. There are actually two locations, but my favorite is actually the original location, and that is at Brickyard on Blake, which I still think is a completely underrated venue for what it has to offer. My favorite thing to do is to get a lovely cup of coffee, iced latte, whatever, go upstairs to the roof and sit and look at the mountains when it's a perfect 70 degrees out. The coffee and pastry selection are perfect, and the baristas are always friendly. Whittier Cafe. My favorite thing about Whittier Cafe, there are a couple of things, but One of them, I'm not sure they're still doing, and I think it's because COVID's obviously impacted so many cool experiences that we could have. But this is a Black owned business. But not only is it that, previously, it's an Ethiopian owned business. Prior to COVID, the family would actually do an Ethiopian coffee service, I think typically on Sundays. And I just think that is the coolest thing ever. Where Denver's coffee experience is lacking is in things like that, Ethiopian coffee service, or I feel like there's a traditional way to make Turkish coffee. Like there's some really specific coffee experiences that I feel like we still have room for because we don't have them. And Whittier Cafe is definitely a place that was doing that. I really hope if they're not doing it right now, that sooner than later that experience is shared again with the customers. It is a busy place, people love it. The coffee is phenomenal. It's all African sourced from if I remember correctly. And if you're lucky, you might be there when the food truck that their family owns is also serving. So it's a great experience all around. Wonderful patio. My favorite thing to do there is to work from the patio. Honey Hill Cafe. I kept hearing about Honey Hill, but I live on the other side of town. So a lot of these coffee shops, I'm making a trip to the shop to see what it's like. And I finally recently got a chance to visit Honey Hill, and I was really pretty impressed. The staff was incredible. The music was off the chain awesome. It was like a Gen Xer's happy place. I'm Gen X, I'm just telling you. So like really good hip hop and glam rock, and it was so good. It was because one of the team members that day happened to be Gen X, and he had played his music, and he happened to play his music mix. It was awesome. But the coffee and the ambiance and just the vibe was so great. And it was funny because I actually ran into someone that I knew within 5 minutes of being there. Honey Hill Cafe, worth the visit. It's awesome. And then finally, to round out my top 10, The Wild. I actually think most people have no idea that this coffee shop, phenomenal place for happy hour as well, exists. It opened up, I think, either at the end of 2020 or the beginning of 2021. It's part of the Pearl Street Hospitality Team's offerings, which include Lady Jane and Hudson Hill, which is on Capitol Hill. Besides having well crafted coffee and a really effortless pseudo French vibe, like it's very chic in a certain way, it has a large patio and a completely unapologetic vaccine only policy. You have to show your vaccine card, which in Denver, you don't really do that often. Now, there is a caveat, which is Denver has a really high vaccination rate. I do think it wouldn't be a bad idea for us to share our or show our vaccine cards, but we're not doing that. Anywho, I really liked that they asked for that. By the way, the Wild is located across the street from Union Station in this cozy courtyard nook kind of thing. Please do check it out. It also happens to be the place where I experienced the best customer service experience ever that I've had, I think, in the last 5 years. So basically, I was heading to the airport and I stopped by the Wild and got a cup of coffee, and I was chit chatting with the barista, and it was just a lovely conversation and waiting for my coffee. Popped into the ladies' room, and then I got my coffee and left. I walk through the Union Station, I'm looking around, and then I walk over to the train. I get on the train. You have to understand, it's 2 minutes before the train's about to depart. I look up and look at the door, and the barista is in the doorway handing me my credit card. This woman had run from the coffee shop across the street through Union Station and found the car that I was actually in. I cannot tell you, she saved my ass that day because I was flying to San Francisco. I would have been screwed. I love this place. That was an amazing experience. I hope never to lose my credit card. Oh my God, that was so scary, but that was amazing. So please do check out the top 10 list. So I do have some honorable mentions that you need to know about. 2914. I'm going to be honest, I'm completely baffled by the fact that no one ever brings this shop up, that it never makes any lists, that no one knows about it, but it's been around for years. It's in the Highlands area, sort of. It's on 26th and Federal. It's like right over there. And the area that it's in has been developed in a really interesting way. There's cute restaurants and things like that. But 2914 is just a great little shop. Please go check it out. Sonder. I love this shop. I really prefer actually the original location that's in Aurora, but I don't go to Aurora that often. So what I found is I typically am going to the location at Junction Food and Drink. I actually think most of you guys have no idea what Junction Food and Drink is one of our new food halls that's opened up in the last couple of years during the COVID times. Sonder honestly is number one in my view in the metro area for creative drinks. And I love their fall and winter seasonal drinks because they always seem to have one drink that needs a marshmallow roasted, and they have these little hand roasters while they roast it. So I've actually done live streams with that because I think it's just the coolest thing ever and it just tastes delicious. Vibe Coffee and Wine. The team is wonderful. The space is beautiful. The space is beautiful. Good place. Again, it's coffee and wine, so it's a good place for happy hour as well. It's located 1 block away from the convention center, like 2 blocks away from the convention center, and it's directly across from Sam's number 3 on 15th. It's awesome. Please go check out Vibe Coffee and Wine. It's surprising to me how cozy it is for such a big space. Love it. Little Owl. Can I just say, I am so sad that their pastry shop concept ended up being closed. There's just not enough foot traffic in downtown Denver, I think, for it. But it was a wonderful concept. Fortunately, the coffee shop, the smaller one, is still open. Please support this business. Phenomenal coffee, great team, good experience. Dandelion Coffee. So, this is one that actually almost made the top 10, but they have one issue that they can take care of. Everything about this place is magical. Magical, magical, magical. And in fact, it's funny because it used to be located in Zeppelin Station and ended up, I think, just being really impacted by COVID and the closures. And then they found a new location on the east side of town. The thing about Dandelion Coffee, besides the fact that it is really a magical space, the coffee's phenomenal. I took my mom with me to this one as well. We loved the service and how we were treated. I need them to switch out the pastries. Not a fan of the pastries. I don't know who they're sourcing them from, but I think if they were to swap out their pastries, top 10, no questions asked. Period. End of story. Love Dandelion Coffee. Good place for Instagram stories too. It's just a really whimsical, beautiful space. So I can't say it enough. Downpours Coffee. I love this little micro chain and coffee shop. I love the team. I say love a lot in this, but I love coffee, guys. Leave me alone. Anyway, I am missing the fresh squeezed juices that they used to make, but people weren't buying them, even though they were delicious. This shop rocks. They make everything fresh, everything house made. The burritos, especially the gluten free burritos and the green chili, bomb delicious. I can't even get the words out. You must get, if there's one thing you get, it's the burritos and the green chili. The shop has a extreme attention to detail. Unfortunately, like many places around town, staffing has really put the squeeze on their ability to be brilliant. It's one of those things small businesses are struggling with right now. They've had to shorten their hours. I think as that issue kind of works itself out. Downpours, love this place. 3 locations around town. Definitely check them out. So, what are your favorite coffee shops here in Denver? I have a completely different list of coffee shops for the state of Colorado because I travel around the state quite a bit. So, there's different places that I really like. I will share that sometime soon. And I hope to hang out with you guys at one of these places on a patio and drink some good Joe while you're here.